Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please leave us a comment. Make sure to stay with us until the end because we have a fun little surprise coming up. And if you want to be notified whenever we release a new episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you liked this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a like and share it with any friends who might find it interesting. Don't forget to tell your friends about us too.
Welcome, and thank you for trusting us with your source material. Today's deep dive is very focused. It's on a critical health concern, bone strength, preventing fractures. And it basically starts by telling you that almost everything you believe about calcium is wrong.
It's a huge claim, I know, but the data we're looking at is pretty staggering. We're diving into a protocol from a senior health specialist, and it alleges that 85% of the calcium you consume from popular sources.
Like milk and pills.
Exactly. Your daily milk, your standard over-the-counter pills. Most of that calcium is essentially wasted. It's just not ending up where it needs to go.
85%. I mean, just think about that. The effort, the money, all of it thrown away on routines you think are helping you.
And that inefficiency, it has some really profound consequences. The material starts with a shocking reality check. Worldwide, a senior suffers a fracture from osteoporosis every 3 seconds. So the whole mission of this deep dive for you, the listener, is to find a shortcut, to get to the most effective way to build bone density and to, move past just volume and focus on precision.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're going to figure out why milk might actually increase your fracture risk, why some common calcium pills could harm your heart, and why one simple, very cheap vegetable prepared a certain way is claimed to boost usable calcium absorption by a staggering 70%.
Yeah, we're moving past decades of marketing and focusing on the science of absorption and delivery.
So our source material introduces two key components for bone health. It uses this really helpful analogy. We all obsess over calcium. That's the brick.
Right.
But we're missing this unsung worker, the architect they call it, that we desperately need to focus on, especially as we get older.
And that architect is vitamin K2. What's so fascinating here is its function. It's not about absorption, it's about direction. K2 is like the GPS system for calcium.
GPS.
It literally commands the calcium. It tells it exactly where to go. Go and harden only in the bone, and at the same time, it stops it from depositing in dangerous places, like your blood vessels and your kidneys.
So we hear a ton about vitamin D helping us absorb calcium, but K2 is the crucial next step. It tells that calcium what to do after it's absorbed. So why is this such a problem for people over 60?
Well, because with age, the natural process, the production of K2 in our gut just plummets. Our internal K2 factory really slows down.
Okay.
And the result is this undirected calcium. The material describes it so vividly. It says the calcium goes astray, floating around, causing problems in your arteries, while the bones themselves become hollow. Like an ancient city with tons of stone, but no workers to place them.
That immediately changes the whole conversation, doesn't it? We need to stop focusing only on buying more bricks and start investing in the architect. Without K2, the calcium we eat isn't just useless, it could be dangerous.
Exactly, and that leads us right into the 3 major traps the source outlines. Understanding these is essential because so many people are doing things they think are protecting them, but they're actually counterproductive.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's start with trap A, the milk trap. This feels so wrong. I mean, for generations, we were all told milk builds strong bones. So how can the source claim it increases fracture risk?
It's not about a lack of calcium in milk. It's a ratio issue. Milk is high in calcium, yes, but it's also very high in phosphorus.
Yeah, it's bad.
When that calcium to phosphorus ratio is out of balance, the body tries to fix it. And surprisingly, it does that by leaching calcium from your existing bone structure.
You drink milk to put calcium in, but the phosphorus balance might be pulling calcium right back out of your bones.
That's it. And it gets worse. If you're drinking low-fat or skim milk, you lose another critical element. K2 is fat-soluble, so you get the bad ratio effect without even having the architect there to try and direct any of the calcium.
That sounds like a zero-sum game or even a negative one. Is there data to back this up?
Alarmingly, yes. The material cites a 2022 study 1,500 postmenopausal women, and it found that those who drank more than 3 glasses of milk a day had a 25% higher risk of hip fraction.
25% higher risk. That just flips the entire cultural narrative on its head. It really shows how some traditional advice can be so off.
And the material has this anecdote about Mary, 72, who drank milk her whole life only to get a shock diagnosis of advanced osteoporosis after a minor fall. Her routine was unknowingly working against her the whole time.
What a powerful lesson. But okay, let's not assume the answer is just to swap milk for pills. You're saying trap B is maybe even more dangerous?
It's definitely more complex.
So trap B, the cheap calcium pills trap. If milk is out, the standard, drugstore calcium supplement must be the fix, right? Most of them are calcium carbonate. Why is that a trap?
2 main problems. First is absorption. Calcium carbonate just has very low bioavailability and needs a lot of stomach acid to be digested, and unfortunately, many seniors have a natural decline in stomach acid production.
So more wasted bricks.
More wasted bricks, exactly. But the second issue is much bigger. It's the vascular risk. If you take these pills without enough vitamin K2 and almost no standard supplement has it, that huge flood of calcium has no direction. It gets into your bloodstream and just looks for a place to harden.
And that place isn't your bones.
No.
So we're trading potential bone health for a serious heart risk, all because we're missing that K2 GPS. I mean, what's the specific data on that risk?
The warnings are pretty stark. The source points to research in the American Heart Journal that found taking calcium supplements without K2 could increase the risk of a heart attack by up to 30%.
30%. Wow. That is a powerful warning. The source shares the story of Mr. Johnson, 68, who took these pills for years. They did a scan for chest pain and found massive calcium deposits in his heart arteries. It was supposed to be in his femur, not his circulatory system.
It illustrates the point perfectly. Getting calcium in is easy. Directing it is the real challenge.
Now for the third trap, trap C. This one is insidious because it hides inside something we think is super healthy. Raw spinach, the high oxalate vegetable trap.
It is a shame because spinach is so nutrient-dense otherwise, but it's incredibly rich in compounds called oxalates. And oxalate, it acts like a chemical thief.
A thief?
Yeah, when it meets calcium in your gut, it binds to it instantly. They form this crystal that is completely non-absorbable.
Okay, so if I have a big, healthy, raw spinach salad with, say, some cheese on it, what happens?
The oxalate essentially holds the calcium from the cheese hostage. Your body can't use it, so it just excretes both the oxalate and all that calcium it grabbed. The spinach makes the calcium useless.
And how good is this oxalate thief at its job?
Lab tests cited in the material show that raw spinach can block up to 95% of calcium absorption from the entire meal.
95%. Are you serious?
95%. So all those healthy green smoothies and raw spinach salads are, for calcium absorption at least, basically useless. It's a brutal trade-off for someone trying so hard to be healthy.
The source mentions a Mrs. Ellen, who ate a raw spinach salad every single day. And despite this healthy habit, her bone density kept declining.
Because that one habit was actively robbing her of usable calcium.
So if we can't rely on milk, we can't rely on cheap pills, and we can't rely on raw spinach, what's the escape route? Where do we find this highly absorbable K2 boosting solution?
The solution is, well, it's remarkably simple and accessible. Kale. This incredibly cheap common vegetable is claimed to result in 70% greater usable calcium absorption than milk.
70%, that's a huge claim. Pivoting generations of advice onto a cabbage cousin. What's the science behind kale that makes it so much better?
It's twofold. First, kale has high calcium, but critically very low oxalate levels, so the calcium is actually usable. But the secret weapon is vitamin K. Kale is packed with vitamin K1.
And why is K1 important if we need K2, the architect?
Because your gut bacteria, your beneficial bacteria, are designed to convert K1 directly into that miracle vitamin K2. By eating kale, you're not just getting the bricks, you're fueling your body's internal factory to produce the architect.
So it's true synergy, the bricks and the architect, delivered at the same time. The data on this must be significant.
It is. A 12-month trial found that women who had 1 serving of cooked kale a day showed a 70% better improvement in calcium absorption.
Wow.
And they achieved a 2.3% increase in their lumbar spine density compared to the group drinking milk. That level of increase in 1 year for a senior is hugely impactful.
That magnitude just shows that focusing on K2 activation and bioavailability is so much more effective than just dumping in raw calcium.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Let's walk through the actionable 3-step protocol from the source.
The plan is all about maximizing that conversion and absorption. Step 1. Buy fresh or frozen kale maybe 3 times a week. Consistency is what's important.
And step 2 is the crucial part that solves the raw spinach problem. You must cook it. Light steaming for just 5 minutes is what they recommend. This step reduces any trace oxalates and just makes everything more bioavailable.
Never eat it raw if calcium is your goal.
Got it.
And finally, step 3. You have to serve it with a healthy fat. Remember, K vitamins, both K1 and K2, are completely fat-soluble. Without fat, like extra virgin olive oil or some avocado, your absorption of the architect is severely limited.
The source even gives a golden recipe. 1 cup of cooked kale, 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and they suggest a pinch of turmeric for its anti-inflammatory benefits.
And there's one last secret booster. To make your internal K2 factory even stronger at converting that K1 from the kale, you need to feed the gut bacteria that do the work.
And how do we do that?
Natural probiotics. The recommendation is a small daily dose, 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut or 1 glass of kefir. This specifically strengthens your internal K2 conversion process, so you get the most out of every bite of kale.
That really wraps up a comprehensive, simple plan. We started with 85% wasted calcium, this constant threat of fracture. We discovered the essential role of vitamin K2, the architect, in making sure calcium does its job.
And we broke down the 3 traps: the ratio issue in milk, the heart risk from cheap pills, and the oxalate thief in raw spinach that steals 95% of your calcium.
And we landed on a specific, cheap, and proven solution.
Wait.
Cook kale with a healthy fat, supported by probiotics to turn on your body's own K2 factory.
By letting go of that old misconception about milk, you're adopting something far more powerful. The source really argues that osteoporosis isn't a life sentence. It's a manageable condition. And this dietary shift is a huge step toward independence and, avoiding that fear of fractures.
The information today is a huge step on the dietary side. But the source leaves us with one more provocative thought for you to explore. It mentions that next week, it'll reveal the secret of the one move in bed, that, when you do it daily, is claimed to increase femur bone density by 35%. And it's designed specifically for people who can't do a lot of weight-bearing exercise.
And that raises a really important question, doesn't it? How much of our bone health relies on these simple dietary shifts we covered, and how much relies on micro-movements we might completely overlook, especially when mobility is limited? It seems the solution might be less about heavy lifting and more about, targeted direction, something to mull over until your next deep dive.